Good morning, everybody. It's a great privilege for me to be here with you today. Daniel West, and I'm the National Manager of Leadership Development with Vital Health Global. And I just want to tell you a little bit about me before I get started. I'm the youngest of 10 kids. I'm married to a woman from Chile. We've been married for 21 years, and we have three boys of 20, 18, 14 years old. And I have 17 years in the industry. I was with a different company for 17 years. And I have been with Vital Health for around 3.5 months, and it has been an amazing experience. I truly love Vital Health Global and the experience that I'm having. Just want to, it's asking me to set my language here. Here we go. And it's been amazing. So just a few things I love about Vital Health Global, starting with the executive team. It's wonderful to see a team who understands the business, who truly understands the affiliate side of the business because they've done the affiliate side of the business. Seeing Alex Reynoso, knowing that he was one of the top earners in the company that he was with years ago, and knowing that Tony has had success in network marketing, Gustavo and Alberto have had success in network marketing, Jorge has had success in network marketing on the affiliate side. So knowing that they understand the field, and not only that, they're deeply involved with the field every single day, working with affiliates every single day. They have a pulse on what's happening in the company. And that is crucial because all the decisions they make can be based off their interaction and their knowledge of the field. So that for me is extremely important. I'm very grateful to work with a company who has that type of experience and that type of a insight to how they're going to make decisions. It's super important because every decision they make impacts the field, and the bigger we get, the bigger those impacts are. So that gives me a lot of comfort knowing we have amazing people leading the ship. And also, I love the fact that our products are amazing. From the minute, actually, before I was hired with Vital Health Global, I went to Hermosillo for an interview. And one of the very first people I talked with started to tell me how her life had changed with these products. And then it was story after story after story of life-changing experiences with the products of Vital Health Global. So I love that. I love that we have solid products at work. I love that we have a compensation plan that's amazing. One of the most simple compensation plans I've ever seen in the industry, maybe the most simple, and just straightforward on what people need to do. It's very well balanced, very well thought out, and an extremely amazing opportunity for income for those that want to take advantage of that. And I love the leadership we have within in the affiliates within Vital Health Global. I feel like we have a very mature leadership team, and they're doing a great job in creating a solid environment for the affiliates and paving the way and doing their best to help people to have success. I love learning from you guys, and it's an honor for me to be here on the AM Power because for me, I listen to all the authenticity on the AM Power. I listen to all the people that are sharing from their heart and things that are really helping us to become better people at the core of who we are. And so again, I'm so grateful to be part of this. The topic I have for today is something I've wanted to share since before I was hired with Vital Health Global based off what I've seen in the industry. And the topic is about how we can maintain a healthy environment in Vital Health Global. So this isn't based off of what I've seen happen here. It's just based off my experience in the industry and how can we maintain and create an amazing environment for everybody, working towards what would be for me a utopia. And I know that sounds maybe crazy for a lot of people. I believe that as we create a higher level of collective consciousness, that we get closer and closer to what would be a utopia. And I believe that we can help maintain that. But I do believe it requires a very conscious effort and conscious awareness in order to do that. I believe that one of the biggest things we need to be aware of is the ego, our pride, and how that impacts the business. And I'm going to share a quick story. I was in Ecuador for 2 years between the age of 19 and 21. And while I was there, I noticed they had an amazing transportation system with buses. I could get on almost any corner and I was going to get a bus that was going to take me to the specific location I needed to go to. And maybe from there, I would take another bus to another location. But I was always within, I would say, maybe a half mile of where I needed to be because of how amazing their transportation system was. I'd never seen anything like it. And these bus drivers were kind of crazy. They would literally, it was like having a race on the road. You got a two-way street and a bus is passing another bus while another car's coming. It barely makes it over. And at first, you're just freaking out about the way they drive, but they were very good at it. And after a while, I got very comfortable with the way they drove. I would never be able to do it, but they They were amazing. But one day I was kind of distracted and I was just kind of, I wasn't really paying attention. We were on our way and it was kind of a smaller street. And next thing I know, we stop. I look up and there, I don't know how this happened, but our bus was front, like facing another bus. So they were head to head, just like this, just stopped. And the bus drivers were just staring at each other like this. And they were waiting for each other to move. It's like, it was like, not my fault, it's your fault. Who's going to move first? And they were having a standoff. While we're sitting there waiting for them to get going to get to our destination, it got to the point, it felt like for me it was like 30 minutes. It wasn't quite that long, but it got to the point where we finally just got off the bus and started walking. I was like, this is ridiculous. Let's go. But it was interesting. When I got off the bus, the words came to my mind: pride impedes progress. And as I thought about it, we weren't able to progress because two people were just too stubborn to move, to make a difference. And I think it's important to realize pride impedes progress. And this comes in a lot of different ways within the business. And again, these are just examples of things I've seen in the past. So what are some things that happen that I've noticed that happen with pride? One is the tendency for people to feel like, hey, I have a higher rank than so and so. I have more authority. I can tell them what to do. Or maybe this is my downline. I have more authority than my downline. I can tell my downline what to do, or maybe control, or maybe manipulate. I think people have seen that, right? We have a lot of people coming from different companies where we've experienced different things. And I feel like Vital Health Global is a refuge for um, many other affiliates that are coming from other companies. Okay. And and because of that, we are seeing people come in that have had a lot of difficult experiences in the past. So one thing to be aware of is, people coming in from a different, maybe they're brand new, right? But that doesn't mean they don't have experience. They might have years of experience in another company. They're new to Vital Health Global, but that doesn't mean that because I sponsor them, I know more than that person or I have the authority over that person, right? Not only that, say that there's somebody brand new to the industry. They've never done network marketing in their life, but they come with a great life experience. So for us to think, hey, I'm better than this person, or I can tell this person what to do because I'm their sponsor, I think that's where the ego comes in, right? Where we have to avoid feeling like we have the authority over someone else. So how can we acknowledge that? We need to recognize, okay, one thing that I like to do is just kind of, and I'm not, the hard part about talking about pride, the minute I start talking about pride, I'm a hypocrite, right? Because we all have to work on this. But I try to do something in my mind where I don't put myself above someone else. I try to say, okay, we're all equal. We have a tremendous potential as individuals, as divine beings. And so I'm no better than anybody else. I also don't put other people above me. So they're not better than me, but I'm not better than them. We all are here to grow, but we're all equal. So how do we move forward with the understanding that we're all equal and we're all volunteers? Especially, well, I'm an employee, right? So my boss can tell me what to do, but as far as affiliates go, we really can't tell each other what to do, right? We don't have the right to tell each other what to do. So each person, we need to treat people with respect, and we can invite people, we can share things, we can have a system, but that doesn't mean that we can control people or make people follow the system. And I think it's very, very important that we respect creativity, because I've heard the saying, okay, if you don't do it like this, or if you don't follow this system, you're not going to have success. And it hits me wrong. And the reason why I don't like it is because if we didn't allow creativity for people to do things differently, then we would never have progressed to the point we are today. We have to allow people to do things differently that might work very well for them and might be something we can learn from in order to continue to progress along the way. And that's where we can lead with love and unconditional love. So as people do things differently than what we would expect or that we would want them to do, as long as they're doing something that's ethical, it's important we say, hey, that's okay. That's their freedom. They have the right to do that. And there's so many different ways to do this business that works. So as we say, okay, we're going to allow them that freedom because they have that freedom. We don't have the right to control them. And we're going to support them as long as they're doing things ethically. That's where we can create a very healthy environment where people feel free. One of the things that I've noticed in the past was where an upline or maybe leadership was trying to obligate their downline to do certain things, whether it was be it to an event, and not respect the fact that some people had just things they had to take care of. They were making them prioritize the team over their family or an event over their family. They were making them feel obligated to do certain activities and hit certain levels of growth. And it became to a point where I noticed that the field, they were acting in a way of almost fear of pleasing the upline. So instead of working towards their own goals and dreams, they were focused on what they were, how could they please the upline so they didn't disappoint them. And it no longer was about their own goals and dreams. It was about the fear of not pleasing somebody. So what happened over time? They lost their own motor. They lost their own drive. The excitement was not there anymore. And the overall feeling was very icky, right? Somebody put in the comment toxic, right? So this wasn't the case with everyone, but I saw this in certain circumstances, and it was very evident and it was very clear. And so how do we avoid that? How do we recognize consciously, hey, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I protect my team. I want to make sure I support them and lead with love. It has to be a conscious decision. Why? Because in life, and this is it's a tricky tendency. Um, in life, in humanity, we have the tendency to treat people how we've been treated. It's a tendency that if we are not consciously aware of, we start to do to others what was done to us. And there's many examples of this in life. I'm going to give you an example, personal example that I had to learn from as I was growing up and as I became a father, and something that I'm not proud of, but I'm grateful that I learned, which was, and there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on how to raise kids. I'm not going to try to tell people how you're supposed to raise your kids. For me, it was critical that I had to change. My father was raised probably this way, and that's why he was doing it. But he was raised with, spanking, get out the belt, whatever you had to do, and it was basically beat the children into submission, not literally like beating me, but or beating us, but you basically they would whip until they cry, and that's basically when they would learn their lesson, right? So it didn't happen to me a lot. Like I said, I'm the youngest of 10 kids, so I was able to observe. There's different ways we learn. I was able to observe how my brothers got punished or disciplined, and I didn't want to be punished or disciplined like that. So I learned kind of quickly, but I did get whipped maybe once or twice, and I got spanked a little bit, but it wasn't a lot. But it was the way that I was trained to discipline, subconsciously. So when I was a father with my first son, I found myself doing the same patterns. I would spank my son. I never put out the belt, but I spanked my son. And there were times when I noticed that I did it out of frustration or passion or anger, not to the point where I beat my son, but it was more than an emotion that I felt like I was slightly out of control, and was very disappointing to myself. And I would even apologize to him at his young age. One night I had a dream, and I'm very grateful for this. I had a dream that my son was up against the front door, and I was approaching him, and he was terrified. He was up against the door, terrified. Sorry. So this experience caused me to change my behavior. I had to consciously change my behavior because I realized I don't want to be that guy. Sorry, give me a second. I didn't expect to do this. I don't want to be that guy. So I had to consciously make a change and recognize I want to do things differently. So it was a pattern over years of trying to figure out how to be creative and train and discipline without any kind of physical touch, right? And that's not for me because I realized in my personal life, personally, it's critical because I could get upset and passionate, and I don't want to ever act that way. And I had temptation later on to do so, but I chose not to, right? And so I was able to then move forward imperfectly, trying to find ways to motivate, inspire my kids, and what do I take away or whatever it is to motivate them to behave correctly. But it was much better than the alternative for me, much better. And I'm so grateful for that. So with my other two kids, I never spanked them, and they turned out to be, fortunately, they're great kids. I'm so grateful for them. I'm just super grateful for that because they're really good kids. But it was a great life lesson. But what had to happen? I had to have a conscious decision to do things differently because I had a subconscious programming to do things in a way that was done to me. And unfortunately, we see this in all types of things whether it's abusive physically or different ways of abuse that people can play that out with other people if we don't consciously recognize it. So why is this so important? Like I said, we have people coming from all different companies to Vital Health Global. And right now, I feel like we have an amazing environment. How do we help everyone to consciously recognize if they had a bad experience, if they were treated wrong, to consciously recognize, say, hey, I don't want to do that to other people. That was a terrible experience. I didn't like it. I want to protect my team from that. And I think the idea of I'm going to protect them from that is stronger than just I'm not going to do that to other people. I'm going to protect them from that. I'm going to help create this amazing environment for them because I want them to have a different experience, right? So that's where this comes from. And I want to share an example. This is one of the most ironic experiences I've ever had. And I think it was just for my benefit. So one day I get a call from one of the leaders. He's frustrated. He's complaining about his upline. His upline was just treating him bad and inappropriately and doing all these things. And so I'm listening. I'm trying to comprehend and see how we can move forward. We hang up the phone. I don't think it was 5 minutes that passed. His downline calls me. She starts complaining to me about the exact same behavior of him. And I was like, this is crazy. He was just telling me all these crazy things that his upline is doing, and he's doing the same things to his downline. These are great people, okay? They're good people. But somehow, in some experience they've had in the past, this is how they were treated. And so they're treating other people like this because this is how they believe they're going to get results. And those results were there for a short time. They happened. It just wasn't long term, it wasn't sustainable long term. So the weird thing is, I saw similar patterns over the years with different people, people that are amazing individuals, and they're treating people inappropriately in a way that their upline has treated them. And it was a trickle down effect. And I'm like, holy cow, this has impacted this whole organization's been impacted like this. They've all followed the same patterns. It's so weird. But it wasn't because they're bad people. They're great people. They just didn't have that conscious decision of, I'm going to do this differently. I want to make a change, right? So that's why I may be giving this topic more in the future because I believe in this. And I think as we have more and more people coming in, it's important to always remind people, hey, we can do this differently. We can have an amazing environment. We can protect people from harmful behavior, from toxicity, from manipulation, from control, and we can allow freedom and creativity, and we can support people with unconditional love and lead from the heart and lead from love. And I'm so grateful I get to be able to speak about this because listening to all the authenticity that I've learned from the leaders in Vital Health Global has given me the strength, I guess, to try to share this experience, which is this is the type of training I probably never would have dared to give in the past. So I'm just super grateful to be able to be in this community where we have such an amazing leadership, we have such an amazing environment. And so again, I'm sharing all this because of what I've seen, the tendencies I see happen, our human tendency to repeat inappropriate behavior because of what's happened to us, not even realizing we're doing it. And so we can look on the inside of ourselves and ask ourselves, how are we doing? Where are we coming from? How are we treating our leaders? How are we treating our team? Right? What kind of environment are we creating? And what kind of environment do we want? Because like I said, I truly believe that and we've heard from amazing leaders on the AM Power Call about how we can create a higher level of consciousness and awareness within ourselves. And as we create a higher level of consciousness and awareness within ourselves, and we have a collective higher awareness and consciousness, then we can have a much higher chance of having a greater environment because that collective consciousness is powerful, especially when it's a positive collective consciousness and collective awareness. And that has a great influence on those around us. I believe that's what we currently have, and I believe we can maintain it. I just think it's important for us to continually allow people to and help them to recognize this. And thank you all so much for everything you're doing. I truly love what I'm learning. I feel like the things I've learned on this call from all of you are principles that have the potential to change my life as long as I apply them. And it's phenomenal. It's been things that I'm already starting to put into practice. And I just want you guys to know that I truly care about you. I see Vital Health Global as something that is beautiful. We're attracting a certain type of individual, and I've heard from many different leaders of many different teams say the same thing. We have, like I said before, a tremendous leadership. So I just ask you guys to keep doing what you're doing. This is going to be cut short, James. I think I just wanted to go till I go. I don't believe in enforcing a topic. And thank you so much again for this opportunity, for all you guys do. And we're here to serve you in any way we can.